It's the Grown Folks Table, where real women is addressing real issues. From politics to health and wellness, from relationships to women's issues. And yes, we pour a little tea and so much more. So pull up a seat and join Vicky, Libby, Dolores, Joyce, and Alicia at the Grown Folks Table.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Grown Folks Table. Y'all ready to have some grown folks conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. It's so much going on with these relationships. Things are always changing. And I think it was in Michelle Obama's book, she talked about becoming, right? And she talked about that we're always becoming. And I never thought about it from that perspective. Yeah. Do you feel that sometimes you're still that you're changing, even at your current age, or are you still the same Libby that was 25? Are you still the same Joyce that was 35?
That'd be a no.
Right.
A hard no.
What about you, Vicky? Has a lot changed over the years?
Listen, Linda. When I wakes up in the morning, I think I can sprint, the body says rest,
Right.
Let it recalibrate.
Right.
But I do believe, all joking aside, we're not the same. I don't think we're supposed to stay the same. I think we're in a constant state of evolving and becoming. Yeah. And then also, every day my prayer for myself is that I become a better version of myself. I don't want to be stagnant. Yeah. I don't want to rely on yesterday. I want to evolve and become.
But look, I got to point this out. You jumped out of a plane.
Yes, you did, honey. You evolved, all right. You evolved.
And I lived to tell it.
She loved to tell about it. Right. Yes. She's the only person I know that ever really jumped out of a plane.
Yes. A perfectly good plane.
Yes, a real one. Flying over.
Not an emergency. Not an emergency.
How about that?
Right.
And I came down a new woman.
Yes, you did, honey.
My ears, I hear about it.
Yes.
Oh, God.
You're free as a bird now. You're free as a bird, honey.
Don't rip up.
Listen.
Like going to the water.
Seeing the light.
Dr. A, the reason why I asked about the changing question is because sometimes in these relationships, we may be evolving and we may be changing, but then the other spouse may stay the same. They're not changing. They still like to stay at home and sit on the couch. They don't like to go out and do different things. They don't want to jump out of the plane. That sounds crazy to them. What do you do when you are like becoming and the other person is stuck, right?
And that includes sexually too. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we ain't gonna be in my house.
You in my house. She gonna talk about that sex, baby.
I'm with her now.
Pull the covers back, baby.
Okay, so here's the thing about change.
Yes.
Okay, everybody changes every day. Every day you change. You are never the same 2 days in a row. And so here's why. It's very basic. Sometimes you lose some stuff. Sometimes you gain some stuff, whether it be weight, hair, whatever it is. Because I think we think about change always in terms of growth. Change does not always mean growth and evolution.
That's right.
Sometimes change just means different.
That's good.
And so hopefully what happens is the change becomes evolutionary.
That's
and
it.
So what you're doing is you're growing in your change. A lot of people are not. So they may be changing, getting older, getting a little more hair, belly getting bigger, losing something, whatever. That's a change that does not necessarily equate to growth.
Yes.
Growth takes place in the mind.
That's good.
And so growth has to be, I want to stop doing something or start doing something, whatever that is. And so for some people inside of relationships, it's how can we take our relationship to another level where one person might be saying, what's wrong with the level where we are?
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And so when you talk about change inside of a relationship and evolution and growth, it has to be a participatory sport. Can't be one person on the field, one person on the bench.
So what do you do? What if the person wants to get off the bench and the other person does not?
So you talking about the person that's on the field, because that's the person that's probably evolving.
Yes.
The bench sitter is not making any movement.
Right.
And so how do you get the bench sitter to come onto the field to participate?
Yes.
Well, it has to start with communication. But here's the thing. For most couples, the communication that should have been had on the front end was not had. Not to the level where it would make the relationship evolve, meaning that as we are changing, we can continue these conversations and it does not have to turn into conflict because something has changed, because my needs are different.
That's right.
So men reach their sexual peak at an early age.
What age?
Usually
I knew I was gonna have to go younger, honey.
right. So for men, it is typically when they are younger, prior to 40. After 40, men start to have issues. For women, we don't reach our sexual peak until middle age.
What's middle age?
So yeah,
Wait,
so
what is middle age?
so it's after 40.
Go out on bed.
Right. So imagine if you are married to somebody that's the same age. He peaking in the beginning, you might not be peaking until the middle. So now we probably gonna have a conflict unless we have some conversations. I had somebody just yesterday to say to me, so he has to take an injection because he's a cancer survivor, prostate cancer survivor, has to take this injection every 2 days into a vein in his penis. And because of that, he gets an erection and wants to have sex. Whereas I don't want to have sex. And I said to the doctor, what we going to do about this? Because he wanted and I don't. And I said to her, I said, what women don't realize is that there are cures for that. And it has nothing to do, you don't need a prescription. There are herbs out there that are used for maintaining our estrogen,
Preach the sermon.
which is directly tied to our libido.
Yes.
And so there are ways that you can combat it, but you got to get a jump on it.
So you're saying
before the change starts.
So you're saying in terms of the woman, because of where
Both.
he's at.
Both. And so because there are even herbs that men can take. Men are running out here to, Viagra and Cialis and that sort of thing, but there are natural ways to increase your testosterone. Exercise is one of them. So when they're being couch potatoes and sitting down, that's why their testosterone is not, it's deplete. It's going to deplete anyway in all of us. That's going to happen. We have to do the things to make sure that we continue to either let it maintain where it is and not decrease, or find a way to increase it, which that's going to be through
I want mine
medication.
decrease in 90.
Keep me at 100.
You want it to
here.
decrease
at 90.
Listen,
But until then,
there are
I
people
need
having
for you to
healthy
be
sexual encounters into their 80s.
Listen.
You can have healthy sex
I'm
into
all
your
right
80s.
with that.
Yeah.
I'll be one of those people.
Honey, they gonna put the dirt on me and you, Dolores.
See how realistic it is.
It's realistic now. I'm
Go to the
telling you.
nursing home.
Legs move.
Go to the nursing home, baby. But let me tell you this. There's
Some
a
of that
whole
get a
lot
little
of
bit
ways to
tougher.
have sex. Don't be, hey, listen.
Yeah,
There's a whole lot of ways to have sex. Honey,
Yeah.
you go to nurse home, these people, listen.
I used to work in one.
They
I
like
used to work in
20
one.
rolls in there.
That's
And
exactly
it was
right.
off the chain.
That's exactly right.
This
Serious.
nursing home. And then, it was very few men to the women.
Yeah, huh?
So the men had a woman on the third floor.
You better
That's
say
right.
it, Joyce.
Second
That's
floor,
exactly right.
and
Say it.
on the,
That's
on
exactly
the first
right.
floor. This
She
is not
telling
what
the
I
truth.
heard. This
Yes.
is what I know.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because we used to have to break up the.
To break it up.
We have to break it up.
Well,
because it was so few.
there was a huge
Yes.
surge in sexually transmitted diseases
I heard that.
amongst the
I heard
older
that.
Yes, it
population
was.
because of that.
Yes, it was.
People who were in healthcare facilities like that, and because they were having very active sex lives with unprotected
And the
sex.
cleaner he was.
Absolutely.
The
yeah.
cleaner, like a neat with some
Yeah.
swag.
Yeah.
Oh, he was shutting
He
it
had them
down.
all.
Yeah.
He had them all. Absolutely.
He was
yeah.
shutting it down.
Yeah.
But it's very true though that if you don't communicate, and another thing is I think we also have to find ways to communicate, because what may have worked early on may not work at this juncture. And I say that from not my experience, but from experience of somebody I know, that in the beginning they had, the children, and the wife was not wanting to have a lot of sex because up all night with the children and breastfeeding and all these kind of things was happening. And then as the children got older, then she was all ready to get into it, and he was declining.
She hit midlife.
She hit midlife and hit the peak. And so they had to do a whole lot of different ways to communicate. And it took counseling to see how they can do that, because he was still communicating like he did then.
Well, here's the other thing. We are all a product of our upbringing and experiences, right?
Amen.
So how you were taught and told is typically how you do. But sometimes even what you're taught and told is really not who you are. So I'll take myself, for example. I was raised Catholic, so very sheltered, did not date until going into my senior year in high school, only had that boyfriend and then the person who became my ex-husband, that fella. And so I can remember probably 10 years into our marriage, one of the things that he said was that, he thought that I was a good Catholic girl. And because of that, he wasn't trying to engage with me on certain things, so he was going outside of our marriage.
You going where I'm going.
And so here's the thing. When I went and had some boudoir photos taken and I was introducing certain things and asking myself, he wanted to know, well, where you getting all of this from? And I said, this has always been a part of who I was. You put me on a pedestal that I didn't ask to be on.
That's right.
And so I said, so that was your decision. So he done, he gone and all of that. And so what I'm so excited about is to be in a healthy, loving relationship with somebody that never judged.
Free and liberated, honey. Talk about it.
Never judged. And I said, you all right? Then I'm a little freaky, right? He was like, I'm real good.
Come on, talk about it.
I'm real good with that.
But that's important.
So having those conversations on the front end so that you don't have to feel like, I got to hide who I am, because women tend to be very sexually free.
Come on,
sometimes
honey,
your
in the room.
mind has encaged you because of what you've been taught and told. But especially inside of a marriage, the only boundaries are the ones that you set inside of the marriage.
That's right.
It shouldn't be none. And people will say, well, God said, God ain't said nothing about all of that y'all trying to say.
And
He said, once you get your husband or your wife, y'all do what you do.
Yeah. But I've known someone who had been married at that particular time years ago. They had been married almost 20 years. And they were still talking about there's certain things as it pertains. I'm just going to, be who I am as it pertains to oral sex.
Absolutely.
That was against what the Bible said, and the husband was wanting to engage in that. And almost 20 years, the wife did not. And that became a major issue.
I see that one all the time.
And when I tell you that this was like, we were sitting at a girls' night and she was saying, I just don't, and nobody else said anything to tell you, but I did.
Oh God, don't tell us what you said.
Yeah, you know me, because it ain't clean. But before we got done there, she was open to at least finding a way that she was comfortable in it, and he was comfortable being able to give it.
So imagine growing up Catholic where nobody's ever had a conversation with you about oral sex. Period.
Yep.
You don't even have the knowledge, understanding, exposure. Period.
That's a sad thing.
And so this is true story.
I know you're telling it.
And it's all in my book anyway. So it ain't like I'm telling y'all nothing I hadn't already written about. So the first time that we engaged in oral sex, I was pregnant with our second child. Y'all, that had been some years. And I said, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I said to him. I don't know who she is, but tell her I said thank you.
You better
I promise you I did.
Hey.
Because y'all, I had never even had the exposure. That's back in the day when TV was not what TV is.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right.
TV.
That's right.
You know, you see people on TV now
Yes.
pretending or whatever they doing,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay,
Way
I
too
know
much.
that we didn't have that going on.
No.
That's why I started Passion and Poetry.
Yeah.
And how it became so successful. And here's my shameless plug. It's coming October 29th at Center Stage.
Get into it.
Is because of not being in a environment where sex was even talked about.
Sure.
And I was standing on stage. The very first one that I had, I was standing on stage looking at these couples. She was here, he was here. She was here, she was, and he was there. There was no, you couldn't feel an intimacy
At all.
between them.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
looking and I'm like, okay, we're talking about some erotic poetry and y'all just looking at each other like, I don't
What
like
is
you.
this?
So I said
Yeah.
it. I stood on stage and I said, I want each of you, if you are a couple, to tell each other what you want.
Right.
Come on
I
with
said,
it,
put
honey.
it in, say it in your ear right now.
Yeah.
Say it in your ear. And they both did that. And then I stood on stage and I said, now you tell them when you want to get it.
They ain't leave
let
out.
me tell you. The next day, this was a Saturday night, which this one is coming up is on a Saturday night. The next day, on Sunday, I used to do a show called Love and Relationships
Yes.
on
Yes.
Quiet Storm V103.
Yeah.
We had a topic for that night, but it changed because the majority of the men who were in that audience, I'm telling you, they blew my phone up telling
Yeah.
me, thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling these women it's okay to tell me what you want. Because
Listen.
I am willing to deliver.
have to.
And you know the reason
right.
why I knew it worked is because I came up that way. I
Sure.
had two parents.
Absolutely.
My mom, my daddy never called my mama my booby, my baby, or pat her on the bunkum or nothing.
Nothing. Right.
I didn't see any of that
I like it.
intimacy.
I like
so
to see it,
I didn't know how to receive it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so once
Yeah.
I found a man that was willing to teach and I was open to
Learn.
receive,
Right.
then I know the beauty of the sexual relationship.
Yes.
Somebody.
So when I
Yes.
saw
It's
it in that
important.
audience, I said, y'all better do exactly what you said
Honey,
you wanted.
ain't nothing
and
like
my
it,
phones
y'all.
blew
Yeah.
up. They blew up. And that's why I'm doing it again. People are asking
Come on
for
with it,
that.
honey. Let me be there.
October 29th.
Get on
Gotta
there
be
and say it
grown.
again.
Gotta be
Gotta be
grown.
grown.
Gotta be grown. I'm gonna be up in there.
I'm gonna bring me somebody. I'm gonna bring somebody, honey. Get up there and say it again.
I might be a teenager for that show. I don't know. I don't know.
Hello.
But you know what? My parents were like what you just described with yours. I think if I could count, it would be on one hand that I ever saw my parents even kiss
In the end.
or
Yeah.
hug.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen.
Right.
And so, but I was never bashful or about showing emotion or showing feelings or intimacy. But it's just I wasn't taught it.
Yeah.
And I think my husband had the same issues because his parents were like that as well.
Yeah.
And so what we became what we are because we grew together.
Sure.
But we grew together about what we wanted in
Yeah.
our relationship.
Yeah.
And so I'll just be honest. I love to joke about things, but we're very private people. So I don't even know if I could do that passion and poetry thing. You know, we are touchy-feely people. We've been accused of being that. You know, we like to hold hands. We like to embrace. But I don't know if I could. I don't know. That passion and poetry is kind of scary to me.
It's uncomfortable for you in
One
public.
thing though,
Yeah.
I toned it down a little bit.
You did?
But yeah, a little bit. But I still feel like we still have to teach our culture
do.
that it's okay.
That it is okay.
That is okay.
You're
so
right.
I have toned it down a little bit because of the space I'm in.
Yeah. And to liberate
And
women.
here's the funny
but it's
thing.
important
I
to
even
have the
went to my
conversations.
pastor. I went to my pastor some weeks ago. I said, "Is this word okay? Can I say that?" He was like, "Fine." You know what I mean?
Listen.
That's just the
good.
respect
Yeah.
level
Yes,
that I
yes,
have.
yes.
But I honestly still feel that we still need permission.
And here's the thing, y'all. Again, so much of this deals with how you were raised.
Come on.
It does.
And so
It does.
you have
Yes.
to you
I
have
thank
to
my
first
mother.
of all know who you are.
Yeah.
That's number one. You got to know who you are. Your partner has to know who they are. And then you got to be able to communicate your needs and desires
Yes.
without feeling shame.
Shame. Come on.
That's it.
Come on.
That is
Yes.
the issue.
Yes.
Or
That's
any
the big
guilt.
piece in our community
Yeah.
is the
It's the
shameful.
shame. It's the
Yeah.
shame.
You know, of not being able to say certain words.
Or guilt
You
as a
in your
woman.
bedroom, you're supposed to say whatever.
Say whatever you
Whatever
want to say.
And as a woman,
You're
consensual.
supposed to say how you want it
And
when
when
you
you
want it.
want
And as a woman,
because
we can
the
do
thing
that.
of it is if you're feeling
Yeah.
one way, like all you want is this, but they come in with something else, who's disappointed?
Right.
right.
Yeah.
You're
You are.
disappointed
You
because
are.
you're not getting what you were needing at that particular
And it's
point.
not that we're not being a woman or classy. Let me clear
Right.
that up.
That has nothing to do with it. You can be who it
Yeah.
is that you want to be as long as it is consensual between the two people. Listen,
Hey.
my boo is coming to, he got a layover.
Yeah, come on, lay
He got
it
a
over.
layover.
Lay
for
it
about,
over.
About
A
six,
literal layover.
about 6 hours. And so this morning we were talking, and so I said to him, I said, so I can pick you up and we can grab something to eat or, and hug and kiss. And, by that time, it'll be time for you to go back to the airport. He said,
Come on with it.
I said, so I knew what that meant.
Come on, honey.
I said, or we can totally skip the eating.
Come on.
Get right to the hugs and kisses
Yeah.
and handle some business, and then I'll take you to. He
Let
said,
me
now
tell you.
you talking.
Come
Now
on,
you
baby.
talk.
That's what I'm talking about.
So it's about being able to connect, knowing
Yes.
what the other person
Yes.
wants, and being comfortable enough in your skin to be able to say, "This is what I want too."
Honey,
Yeah.
be free.
We
Be
want
free,
the
honey.
same thing.
Well,
So change.
I am shy publicly. I am shy publicly, but
Whatever.
what happens in a cash household stays in a cash house. Yeah. Big Daddy know his name.
Yes, he does.
So thank you so much
better
for
tell
joining the grown folks table. Because you gotta be grown to sit at the grown folks table.
Oh my
Good night.
gosh.